All right, everybody, time to round up a big story from the week. In the wake of the recent deaths of unarmed black men at the hands of police officers, many across the country are calling for change. And a common demand is for every officer to wear a body camera. And now Harris County District Attorney Devon says she plans to spend $1.9 million on police body cameras. HPD will grab between 600 and 800 cameras, while sheriff's deputies expect to get around 900. The funds are coming from money seized from criminals. Anderson says it will bring forth more transparency and accuracy. HPD and the sheriff's office plan to roll out the first cameras by January. So, do you think this is a game changer for officers? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page and Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in the newsroom is our roundup panel led by our Fox 26 legal analyst, Chris Tritico. All right, Chris, we've been talking about body cameras for several weeks now. Now the district attorney says she has a plan to get these on officers by January.
Well, and I think it's going to happen because the DA has discretion to use the funds that their forfeiture funds at their discretion, and this is a good way to use those funds in a law enforcement capacity. I think the people who are primarily opposed to it are the officers who have to wear them. The issue becomes, and I remember back, I'm old enough to remember back when they first put video cameras in police cars. Mad Mothers funded that, and they said this would be a game changer for DWIs. Well, it helps defendants as much as it helps the prosecution on those, because when the defendant looks good on the tape, we generally win. And so if these cameras can be put in a position where they pick up everything, which isn't going to happen, then I don't know how much of a game changer it's going to be. But let's see. Let's talk about this with our panel. Mustafa Tamiz, our political analyst, Jackie Bally, public policy analyst. Good morning and welcome back to both of you. This, we've heard these cries for these body cameras ever since the first killing here in the last couple of years. I'm not sure, because the way the camera is on the officer, it's never going to be in the right, not always going to be in the right position to pick everything up.
Yeah, well, look, first I want to compliment our DA, Devon Anderson, for doing this. And she had a town hall meeting with Sheriff Adrian Garcia. She met with the community.
And she was moved by it.
And she was moved by it, and I think she's taking the right steps. Will this help? I think it'll help some. But really what you're looking for is a culture change. I mean, and not just here in Harris County, but around the country. There is a problem because the stats are so enormous in terms of communities of color and their interaction with law enforcement. Something has to be done. This is a good first step.
You know, 2 nights ago, right here in Houston, an officer shot an unarmed African-American who was getting out of his car at a traffic stop. And the officers, as reported, the officer said he got nervous because he got out of the car, so he shot him. That's really exactly what we've been talking about.
And this is a perfect example. We will see, if something like this, if he had a body camera, we would see the evidence, the grand jury would see the evidence, and then they would make their decisions. The thing that the bigger difference is, the dashboard cameras is limited in scope. It just shows what's in front of the car. At least with a body camera, you have more evidence if you're going to be bringing it into a grand jury indictment or whatever you're going to use it for. But I think more importantly, these cameras bring more transparency. That's what our DA heard from a town hall meeting. They wanted more transparency. They wanted us to look at the way that people are policing. So it's really going to take it more into the police departments and how they treat people, how they're policing and community, and how they're treating people in the community.
Well, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, let's check in on Twitter. Susan says, I think they will change perpetrators' behavior too, sometimes at least, making encounters safer for officers as well. And then this person says the only way they will work is if we hold police personally accountable for paying their own liability insurance. We've heard that from some people over the years, that officers should be forced to carry their own insurance.
Well, we don't pay them enough to force them to carry their own insurance. And quite frankly, except for civil rights violations, the police are immune from any lawsuit. And on a civil rights violation, it's the government that you're suing, not the police officer individually, because the government is the one that has the money. And so I don't think forcing police to carry insurance is going to change anything. And I disagree that the camera is going to force. I disagree that a camera on a police officer is going to change the behavior of an individual who was going to violate the law anyway. The question is does it modify the behavior of anyone, including the police officers?
Well, it seems like the community, the police union and the police chiefs have all agreed that this is what the direction we're headed in. So we're headed in that direction, and I hope it helps.
I think it'll modify both. It'll modify people who want to make false claims about police officers, and I think police officers will be more aware of how they're treating people in the community.
Don't you think that it may not modify their behavior, but it will certainly change the outcome very quickly when I can turn on watch what happened on camera?
I think both, because whatever is going on in that camera can be taken into a grand jury, and that will determine your fate.
And what happens when the officer turns it off because the officer has control?
You win.
That's right.
Well, look, the bigger
Every
issue
time.
is right now that we have a video in Staten Island that everybody seems to agree that that man was being choked, and nothing has happened. No one's been indicted. The grand jury is ruled in the favor of the law enforcement. So there are much bigger issues than just cameras out there.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. And the issue becomes on that, Sally, as Mustafa just pointed out, what the grand jury has to look at is everything that happened, and then you have to take it from the eye of the police officer who made the decision to use force at that time. And that's the critical part for a grand jury.
Right, and a lot of times those cameras can't pick up on what kind of fear
That's right.
may have been going through the officer's mind at the time. So
That's right.
Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you in our last half hour for one more really good topic. We'll send it over to Mike.